Alright fellas, we got a dress on today, and yes, another Warlock build. For my Hunters and Titans, don't worry. I know it seems like I am constantly focusing on Warlocks here lately with their builds, but Chromatic Fire, which is the exotic that we're going to be pairing today with Outbreak Perfected, is just too good to pass up. So fellas, I present you the build, Chromatic Perfected. Huh? You know you come for the names. Now essentially guys, Outbreak Perfected has a lot of nasty involved with it, but being a kinetic weapon allows it to take advantage of the exotic perk Crystalline Transistor. Precision kills with your kinetic weapon creates an explosion in the element of your equipped subclass. Now the main thing to take away from that is the more damage the better. Obviously you're essentially going to be slapping on Firefly to this weapon that is already potent all by itself. If you haven't seen our Outbreak Perfected review, feel free to check it out. Now what's so interesting about this build is the fact that it ties into the weapon so well, as the exotic perk creates Siva nanite swarms on rapid hits and on precision kills, and it actually spawns the most nanites on precision kills. So the synergy is there, as it's going to require you to constantly land precision kills to take advantage of not only the corruption spreads, but also Crystalline Transistor. Now, parasitism is the weapon's trait. You see how well I said it today? I can't do it twice, but I got it right once. But the weapon essentially does more damage to enemies based on the number of Siva nanites that attaches to them. So as you can imagine, getting these precision kills, proccing that extra bit of Firefly AoE damage, having these nanites spawn to either finish off the enemies themselves or at least get them weak enough that you can easily clean them up, makes Chromatic Perfected here to be a pretty nasty build, or so it seems. I had a lot of hope for this build guys, but let's talk about it. Inside of PvP specifically, and I want to talk about PvP before we move to PvE, when facing groups of enemies, 9 times out of 10 you're at a huge disadvantage, especially if they got thumbs and are actually able to aim. Now, Arbalest, we did a build not too long ago where we took Chromatic and combined it there with Arbalest, and that was a very nasty combo because you can immediately come around a corner, catch an enemy or two standing next to each other, and you get the shot off immediately. There is no time loss during that dueling process that results in the targets either A, gunning you down, or B, just drifting away from each other. And of course, if they drift away from each other, you won't be able to take advantage of Chromatic Fire. You might get a tad bit of AoE damage into them, which is nice. It's still very nice. And in some scenarios, you can actually kill an opponent if they're close enough by either the full blast of Crystalline Transistor or at least a piece of them, and the nanites themselves will finish them off. But a lot of times, considering the time to kill this weapon, despite it still being pretty good, it's just not a feasible build inside of PvP. Out of all of my gameplay today, it snagged me maybe 2 or 3 kills from Chromatic Fire's damage. Most of the time, it was just the nanites themselves doing the damage, and I had to clean the target up anyway. And considering how much damage is actually being buffed here by parasitism, there really is no reason to use something like Chromatic Fire inside of PvP. Now, let's talk about the PvE portion. Now, I was looking forward to this build probably more so in PvE than in PvP, because when you look at it on paper, it looks to be great, especially against targets that are super meaty. If you've got a bunch of majors running at you and you're constantly like just shooting them, landing precision kills, spawning nanites, and having those nanites jump to the next enemy while also simultaneously doing a bunch of AoE damage to them with Chromatic Fire, this will result in you being able to take down many enemies inside of PvE, considering how much of them usually group together. The issue with this build is actually how it conflicts with the exotic catalyst. So if you look here on the exotic catalyst, it increases nanite damage, right? Also, enemies that die with nanites attached to them generate additional nanites. The reason why I say it conflicts with it is if you accidentally kill a target with the AoE explosion from Chromatic Fire, this will result in you bypassing the exotic catalyst and not allowing yourself to take advantage of this catalyst for each consecutive kill, especially if you're trying to spawn mass amounts of nanites. And the reason why I say that's an issue is that the nanites don't just track immediately. You actually will land a kill, like say you land a precision kill and the Chromatic Fire AoE explosion goes off. That does the initial large amount of damage, and then the nanites, you'll see them actually attract and attach themselves to the enemies. If you kill the enemy or the ad or the major before the nanites even get to them, it's a good chance you won't be able to even take advantage of this exotic catalyst. So that's why I say it could conflict. Now, Again, after about 5 weeks or whenever this time gate actually releases for this masterwork, I'll probably on my own time take a look at this build again just to see if you can actually utilize it here with the exotic catalyst. And if it winds up being something amazing, we'll probably re-review this build. But a good chance that it will actually conflict with this catalyst though, guys. So that's the issue. As of right now, in terms of just doing extra AoE damage inside of PvE with Chromatic Fire and Outbreak Perfected, it's not a bad route to go at all. It does massive amounts of damage, especially to targets that are close to that AoE damage. And with the nanites also spawning from precision kills, they'll make for easy cleanup for anything left alive. So guys, that is Chromatic Perfected. We've got a couple build ideas that are floating around that we'll probably be covering into the weekend. As of right now though, guys, we're probably gonna need to go over the Spectral Blades nerf and how much of an effect it's had on that subclass. We'll be doing that tomorrow, guys. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.